My dear listener, subscribe to this channel and like this video. It will help our channel grow faster and motivate me to make stories even more exciting. The plasma lance hummed inches from the cub's forehead. Sergeant Eliza Kane's hand shot out faster than thought, gripping the barrel and yanking it downward. The weapon's charge died with a disappointed whine. Not today, Commander. Not ever. The jungle of Karos. 9 fell into a deathly, unnatural silence. The triple moons hung heavy in the blood-red sky, casting long shadows over the scorched clearing. Recon Squad Delta, 12 of the Alliance's finest, a mix of hardened Terran Marines and their Saurian allies, stood frozen amid the wreckage. The air was thick with the acrid stench of charred flesh, ionized plasma, and the metallic tang of spilled Vorath blood. Around them, the ruins of the enemy hunting outpost still sparked and smoked. Commander Isiskavar, a towering 7-foot Saurian with iridescent scales and a lashing tail, bared his razor fangs, his mandibles clicking in barely contained fury. You dare, human? It's a Vorath cub. Alliance protocol is absolute, no survivors, no exceptions. Step aside before I add you to the casualty report. But behind a collapsed pylon, half buried in glowing bioluminescent vines, the source of the interruption huddled in terror. A Vorath cub, no older than 8 standard years by human reckoning. His once glossy obsidian scales were dull and matted with drying violet blood. One leg twisted at a grotesque angle, bone visible through torn flesh. His golden eyes, with their vertical slits too large for such a small face, looked up at the soldiers with pure, unfiltered terror. Tiny, barely formed claws scratched uselessly at the mud as he tried desperately to crawl backward, whimpering softly. Eliza didn't budge an inch. Her own rifle stayed lowered, but her stance was unyielding. He's a cub, sir. Just a scared cub. He's the enemy? Isiskavar snarled, his voice as cold as the void between stars. In 10 years, those claws will tear through our armor like paper. Those teeth will rip out the throats of our allies. I've seen what their adults do to captured colonists, skulls mounted as trophies. This is mercy, Kane. The squad shifted uneasily. The Saurians raised their weapons. The humans exchanged nervous glances. Eliza's heart hammered so hard she could feel it in her teeth, but her voice remained steady. I won't let you do this. We do not kill cubs. That is not who we are. The moment we start down that path, we become exactly what we fight against. Nonsense, the Saurian hissed, his tail whipping the air with a crack. You humans know nothing of true war. The Vorath clans have razed 6 entire systems, billions dead or enslaved. And you would spare this future killer out of some sentimental human weakness. Behind her, the cub whimpered again, a pitiful, fragile sound. Isiskavar studied her for a long moment, then lowered the plasma lance. You're insane, Kane. Fine, take the cub. But mark my words, when he grows into a full-blooded hunter and comes for your throat in the dead of night, his blood will be on your hands, human. He turned sharply to the squad. Move out. Leave the fool to dig her own grave with this xeno filth. The squad marched off without a backward glance, the Saurians muttering in their guttural tongue about human folly. Eliza was left alone. She slowly sank to her knees, hands open. Safe. Not hurt. I promise you. The cub's breathing was rapid, panicked, but he allowed her to lift him. He was light, trembling all over. The journey back to base was silent. For 4 long days, Eliza kept the cub in her quarters, treating his wounds with scavenged medkits and fashioning a crude splint for the broken leg. The cub ate ration bars with precise, careful movements, always watching her with those enormous golden eyes. He never spoke, but he no longer flinched when she came near. Rumors spread like wildfire through the barracks. The humans gone completely soft. Can't trust Earthborn with real xeno threats. She's going to get us all killed. On the 5th day, 6 Saurian security troopers burst through her door, pulse rifles leveled. Corporal Eliza Kane, you are under arrest for gross violation of military protocol. The Vorath cub will be taken for immediate questioning and termination. The cub hissed, pressing himself against the wall, tiny claws extended. Eliza stepped between them again. Always. He is not a detainee. He is a cub under my protection. Step aside or we will move you. The lead trooper advanced. Sirens shattered the air. Red alert. All personnel to battle stations. Through the viewport the sky darkened. Not from storm clouds, but from hundreds of Vorath warships, their angular hulls etched with glowing clan runes. Weapons charged, yet strangely idle. The base commander's voice cracked over every comm. All units, assume defensive positions. The Vorath fleet is requesting negotiations. They want an exchange. 10,000 Alliance prisoners for the body of the cub. Eliza's blood turned to ice. She looked down at the small Vorath pressed against her leg. He met her gaze with sudden, heartbreaking understanding. They're here for him, she whispered. The security team exchanged glances. One transmitted urgently. A reply came almost instantly. Deliver the Vorath cub to the command bridge. Immediately. The bridge was barely controlled chaos. Officers shouted coordinates. Defensive grids flickered red. On the central holoscreen loomed the Vorath dreadnought Kragthar, flagship of the High Chieftain himself. Base Commander Vex turned as Eliza entered, the cub cradled carefully in her arms. His face was unreadable. They say he is the only son and heir of High Chieftain Vorak. They have come to collect his body, to give him the right of stars. The comm channel hissed open. A deep, resonant voice, restrained with barely contained grief, spoke in flawless common. I am High Chieftain Vorak, Bloodlord of the United Clans. You hold the remains of my only son. Return him and we release every prisoner we have taken. We withdraw from this sector. We ask only the honor of taking our cub home among the stars. Vex looked at Eliza, at the cub who was clearly breathing, clearly alive. She stepped forward without hesitation. Tell him his son is alive, she said quietly. Vex's mandibles worked once, twice. Then he spoke into the channel. High Chieftain Vorak, your son is alive. A sound like distant thunder rolled across the open line. Lies. We scanned the ruins. No cub could have survived. He was wounded. Eliza cut in. Her voice broadcast across every ship in both fleets. But I found him. I treated his injuries. He is safe. He has been cared for. Silence. Longer this time. Heavy enough to crush steel. Then the cub lifted his head and spoke a few short words in the ancient Vorath tongue. Quiet, yet carrying impossible authority for one so small. Across the void, every weapon on every Vorath vessel powered down in perfect unison. I want to see this human, Vorak said. Now. The airlock chamber stood empty except for Eliza and the cub. The Vorath shuttle settled with a hiss of hydraulics. The ramp lowered. High Chieftain Vorak stepped out. He was a colossus, 3 meters of corded muscle and midnight scales scarred by a lifetime of honorable kills. Ritual etchings glowed faintly along his arms and chest. His golden eyes, identical to his son's, fixed first on the cub, then on the lone human standing at attention, unarmed and exhausted. The cub limped forward as fast as his splinted leg allowed. Vorak dropped to one knee and caught him gently, impossibly gently. He examined the bandages, the careful stitching, the sturdy splint. His massive clawed hand traced the edges with something close to reverence. You did this. His voice was quiet thunder. Yes. Why? We are your sworn enemies. We have hunted your kind for generations. Eliza took one slow breath. Because he is a cub. Cubs should not die for wars they did not start. Vorak studied her for what felt like an eternity. Then, slowly, deliberately, he knelt fully, forehead pressed to the cold deck plates in the highest gesture of honor known to his people. 42 cycles of blood, he said. 42 cycles we believed humans were without honor, without mercy, that you would slaughter even our youngest without hesitation. One human has proven us wrong for every one of those cycles. He rose, still cradling his son. And you, Eliza Kane, will be etched into the blood chronicles of every Vorath clan. The human who saved the heir of the stars. The one who taught us what true honor looks like. He turned to leave, then paused at the ramp. Cragmore Eldar, he said softly. Words that would later be translated as honor beyond the hunt. 3 months later, General Eliza Kane stood on the bridge of the TSS Horizon, watching Vorath and Alliance vessels patrol the same border together. The war that had consumed decades was over. 10,000 prisoners had walked free. 6 contested systems entered formal peace negotiations. All because one human sergeant had seen a cub instead of an enemy. She touched the Star of Unity medal pinned to her chest, the highest honor the Galactic Alliance had ever bestowed upon any soldier. In her mind she saw those golden eyes again, not wide with terror now, but calm with trust. Humanity was never about the biggest guns or the fastest ships. It wasn't about winning every battle or claiming every star. It was about choosing mercy when the entire galaxy screamed for vengeance. It was about standing alone between death and innocence when every protocol, every superior, every ally demanded otherwise. Later that year, during the grand signing of the Eternal Pact in the Hall of Clans on the Vorath homeworld, a now-healed and slightly taller Xerath approached her across the polished obsidian floor. The young heir wore the full regalia of his royal bloodline, ceremonial blades, glowing clan marks, the weight of a future high chieftain already on his narrow shoulders. He stopped before her, placed one careful clawed hand on her shoulder, and spoke in perfect, accented common. "Thank you, Mother Human." Then, switching to the sacred Vorath tongue with quiet reverence. Cragmore Eldar. The code of honor had been rewritten, not with plasma or blades, but with a single stubborn act of human compassion. And the galaxy would never be the same.